Yo, yo! On today's episode of Fitness and Finances, we're going to talk about muscle growth. I should actually start a podcast. So, I'm trying to make a live each day after I leave the gym, right? Because this is really the only time that I have privacy, right, to film. And I've always filmed all my videos in the car anyway, because that's when I get all my greatest ideas and shit, right? But anyway, let's talk about muscle growth today, okay? Now, I'm typically not really a big dude, right? And the reason is because I've been really jacked before, okay? And I fucking hated it, all right? I hated it, all right? So back in, it's probably like 2019, I spent like a solid 6 months just focusing on getting huge, right? Which for me, I got a 5'6" frame, okay? I'm a short guy, right? I got all the way up to about 166 pounds, right? I normally walk around 150, 155. That's where I feel the most comfortable. But I went through this phase where I was like, all right, I want to get juicy, right? But I was natty, okay? I don't fuck around with any bullshit, right? So I got really fucking juicy, like really huge, right? For my frame, right? Which I got all the way up to 166 pounds, okay? 166 pounds. I had a really great workout partner at the time who has moved out of the state since then, and I had a lot of really great progress, right, during that period. And I got up to about 166, which was huge for my little bitty body, all right? And I hated it because all that extra weight, dude, man, it used to fucking, like, my feet hurt all the time because I was carrying around all this extra weight my body wasn't used to. My lats, dude, they were super chafed all the time, so they were always like scabbed up because of my arm rubbing against them, right? And I was miserable. And then on the weekends, when I used to live in California, is I would take my clients out and run stairs and stuff on the weekend, do some conditioning workouts and things like that, right? And whenever I started getting bigger, man, it was gassing me. I mean, killing me. I felt like a fat kid trying to run up them stairs. So after a few months living like that, I was like, fuck this shit. I'd rather be 150, right? So then, guess what I did to lose the muscle? Okay? That lighting hitting that pet just right there. Guess what I did to lose the muscle? Cardio, folks. I cut my calorie and then started running like 3 days a week. Boom. Dropped the muscle in a few months, right? And then got back to my 150 pound frame, right? Okay, so that's that, right? So I normally walk around 150, 155. That's where I feel good, right? That's where I feel athletic. I look good, right? I'm my clothes fit right, But what's happened is, if you guys have been paying attention to the story, this past year, I've been trying to exit California, exit my gym, got all this stuff going on. We were literally doing all kinds of travel back and forth between here and California and back to Texas. And then when we got to Texas, we were all over Texas, back and forth. And so what ended up happening was, between all the stuff that was going on and all the stuff that we were doing, my physique was, even though I still worked out every day, right? I still work out every day because I do it more for my sanity and my mental health than I do anything really. And consistency, because I just basically, I train my mind that I show up no matter what every single day, right? But I wasn't training as hard as I normally would. And I was way under eating my protein, right? Because whenever you're traveling, you got to eat out at restaurants, or I'd stop somewhere and get deviled eggs, or not deviled eggs, but boiled eggs, right? When you're traveling, my fat intake was high, right? But I was way under eating my protein for months. And what ended up happening is this year, I ended up losing a lot of muscle, right? And which I didn't even really care, right? I was just, because at that point, I'm just trying to, I had so much other stuff. I mean, if you've never moved your family across country and never left your business, right? And completely moved into a new industry all at the same time, you have no idea the amount of stress and 1 million working pieces it took in order to make that happen. So because of that, my physical aesthetics weren't a priority, right? Like I said, still worked out every day, still took care of myself, still ate clean. I just wasn't eating as much protein as I normally do, about 200, 250 grams a day, right? I was probably getting like 120, right? Which is like female level. And then, and I wasn't training as hard to retain or build muscle, right? So I ended up fucking getting scrawny, right? And I knew it, I could feel it, I just didn't care, right? I had so much other stuff that became priority in my life, I didn't even care, right? Because I knew I can get it back, right? I ain't worried about it. I can always get it back. So when it comes to building muscle, I'm gonna give you some tips on how you can build muscle, okay? So when it comes to building muscle, there's two things. Well, first off, you gotta understand this, because a lot of you guys are confused what you actually need, okay? Especially you women, okay? And the simple rule of thumb is this, okay? The look that most of you guys are looking for doesn't come from building muscle. It comes from losing body fat so you can see the muscle. So here's a quick little test. If you cannot see your abs, you are too fat. Period. Okay? So if you can't see your abs, you're too fat. Okay? That means your body fat is really, really high, and no matter how much muscle you gain, you are never going to see it because you have a thick layer of fat covering it up. Okay? You can't see the arms or the lines in the arms, the lines in the legs, right? You can't see, like, you know, the cut in your chest. You're too fat. You're never going to see the muscle until you get your fat down. So step one is lose body fat. Fellas, if you ain't got abs, you're fat. Period. Okay? Period. If you don't have abs, you're fat. You have to lose fat or you're never going to see an ounce. Okay? An ounce of your muscle. You're never going to see shit. Okay? You ain't got fucking abs, you're fat. All right? I'm repeating that on purpose. Okay? Now, that's first. Now, let's say you are lean. Okay? You got visible abs. And you want to get more jacked. All right? Here is what you got to do to get more muscle. Okay? When it comes to building more muscle on your body, you got to do these two things mainly. Number one, a high protein intake. Okay, your muscles are built from protein, not fucking carbs. All right? All these motherfucking dumbass juiced out bodybuilders and all these lame ass fucking coaches and these fucking wannabe fitness gurus online tell you need to eat carbs to grow muscle. That is false. All carbs are going to do is just pull more water into the muscle, which is going to make them look more full, but it's not muscle growth. Okay? True muscle growth is only going to come from, number one, high protein intake. Coming from animal sources, not fucking protein shakes, motherfuckers. Not fucking yogurts, motherfuckers. Fucking animals. Okay? Secondly, you have to consistently, progressively overload your muscles. So what does that mean? It's real simple. You just got to beat what you did last week. Okay? So what that means is, for example, there's 3 ways you can progressively overload your muscle, okay? Number 1 is by adding reps. Number 2, by adding sets. Number 3 is by adding weight. Okay, now you guys all know about the adding weight one. That's like the obvious one, right? Especially for guys, because you like to lift for your ego, right? So here's the way that I like to teach it and the way that I do it when I'm trying to gain size, which is actually back to my point earlier. I'm actually on like a trying to gain size phase because I got so fucking scrawny. I was like, oh man, I need to put some fucking, now that I'm actually like situated, right? I'm actually like, life is we're developing a routine. I've been finally here in this area for about a month now. And so I'm finally like settled in a place where I can actually start focusing on my body stuff. So I'm in this mass gaining phase right now, right? But while staying lean. So my calories are up, but within limits, right? Because the amount of calories your body's going to use to build muscle is this much. Not the fucking 3,000 calories that most of you dumbasses do when you're bulking. Okay? That's how you get fat. Alright? So anyways, So you got to progressively overload. So here's what I like to do. It's real simple. So given your macros are on point, right? You're eating a lot of protein, right? You got to eat a lot of fat too, fellas. Okay? You need to be getting at least 100, 120 grams of fat every day because this is vital for your testosterone production, okay, and your growth hormone production. Gotta have sufficient fats. Now, you're gonna hear the opposite when it comes to all these fucking roid-using fucking bodybuilders, okay? Those motherfuckers eat low fat, high carb, high protein. And the reason is because they're fucking so juiced out on all kinds of shit, they eat super low fats because they ain't gotta worry about producing testosterone because they're enhanced, right? So they ain't got to worry about producing it naturally, right? So don't take any nutritional advice from these motherfuckers, okay? They're retarded. They don't know shit about the human body, all right? So, progressive overload. Here's how we do it, okay? Here's the way I like to do it. Reps to weight. Now, what this means is, let's say, for example, you can bench press, most of you motherfuckers are weak, so let's just say you can bench press 135 pounds. Actually, let's do squats, because most of you motherfuckers are weak on your squat. Let's do squats, because most of you little bitch asses skip squats because you're a fucking pussy. So let's man you up today, all right? So let's do squats. Let's say you can squat 135 pounds for 8 reps, okay? That's the max you can do. Now, the sweet spot for rep ranges to grow muscle is technically between 8 to 12. I personally like to start off at like 5 and go up to 12, right? Because that's just how I like to do it. But let me just give you this example. We're going to go 8 to 12, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to do, let's say you could do 4 sets of squats with 135 pounds, ass to grass, okay? Not that high rep shit that you little bitch asses do, okay? We're going to go 8 reps, 4 sets of 8, right? That's week 1. Week 2. You're going to do 4 sets of 9, progressively overloading by reps, okay? Number 3, or the week 3, you're going to go 4 sets of 10. Week 5 or 4, you're going to go 4 sets of 11. Then the next week, you're going to go 4 sets of 12, right? Once you can hit a 4 sets of 12 with that weight, then you bump the weight and you repeat the process. This is known as progressively overloading, and this is by reps to weight. That's the way I like to do it. So then, let's say you can do 4 sets of 12 with that 135 pounds. What you would do then, bump that shit up to 175, 185, start over. Now we're going to go back to 4 sets of 8, right? Repeat the process. Now, this can take you you could literally be working on this for fucking years, right? Before you guys, because here's the rule. Here's my little rule for you fellas. If you can't squat 225, at least for 1 rep, you a bitch. Okay? Most of you guys are concerned about how much you can bench, but you can't squat shit. And if you can't squat, you a bitch. So, in my opinion, right? Squats are the real true determining factor if you a man or if you a bitch. Okay? So, anyways, so go back to the squat thing. Now, you're going to start back over, right? 185 pounds, 4 sets of 8, 4 sets of 9, 4 sets of 10, 4 sets of 11, 4 sets of 12, right? Then bump the weight. Now you're going to go 205. And that's basically how you do it and how you consistently progressively grow muscle. That's literally all you got to do. You can literally do the same fucking exercises every single week for the rest of your life, and you can consistently make progress as long as you are doing progressive overload, your protein's on point, right? Literally. Okay, you know all that theory, you gotta do muscle confusing, you gotta change shit up. No, you don't. No, you don't. Okay? So, by you adding reps and adding weight, that's changing it up. Okay? That's progressing your muscle. That's pushing your shit to the next level. Okay? So, that's the simple rule of thumb on how you build muscle. And you do this on all body parts, folks. All body parts. And some of your body parts, they're gonna grow faster than others. Right? Some of them, they're gonna get strong super fast. They're gonna grow faster, right? Some of them are gonna lag behind. Now, so I'm sure you're already thinking like, all right, well, what do I do if I can't get a full, let's say you're on the 9 rep week and you go 9, 9, 7, 4, right? Then you stay there until you can get all 4 sets of 9 before you bump up to 10. Okay? That's how you do it. All right? So, and that's why it's important that you guys track your workouts, right? Whether that's old school by doing it with a journal, or like I have an app, right? That's how I do it on mine. So I have an app that I have that my clients do their workouts from, right? A really dope app. And I use the same app to train myself, right? Because that's how I design my online coaching clients' workout programs, is through my app, right? So they just show up, do their workouts for the day, track all their shit, and my app keeps track of everything for them. So that way they know what they did last week, they know what to do, what they need to beat this week. And that's really all it is. Consistent protein intake. Make sure you keep your calories within range. Don't be trying to because most of these guys, especially when you hear from these dumbass bodybuilders, man, these guys, you gotta remember, these guys are on a ton of performance-enhancing drugs, you guys. What they can get away with doing, you cannot as a natural man. You will get fat, okay? If you eat a low-fat diet like these motherfuckers still teach to this day, you're going to kill your testosterone levels. You're going to end up with female-level testosterone levels. And your fucking hair is going to fall out. Then you're going to start having all kinds of fucking mental health problems, right? And then you're eventually going to fall off the wagon and fucking binge on a bunch of bullshit. Okay, that's how it always works. All right? Do not take nutritional advice from motherfuckers on the sauce. Okay? All these big juicy dudes you want to look like, okay? They're all 100% on the sauce. What they get away with, you cannot. Okay? Keep that in mind. All right? So, but anyways, that's the simple rule of thumb on how you build muscle, folks. Right? Simple rule of thumb. Right? But remember, if you don't have visible abs, you're too fat. So you need to first focus on losing your body fat, okay? Which comes from two things. Calorie deficit from hitting your macros, right? And working out every day, all right? If you don't know how to fucking eat to do that, send me a DM. I'll send you a fucking free diet, okay? I literally wrote the book on this shit. It's fucking easy, all right? So, but anyways, fat first, okay? So the good rule of thumb is get ripped, then spend life growing if you want to get bigger, all right? Now, once I probably get to about 158, maybe 160-ish, I'll probably be good right about there, right? Because I was getting really scrawny. And for me, the first area that I lose my muscle when I am not on point with my food, right? If I'm not getting enough protein or I'm not training hard enough, first place to go is my fucking legs, okay? I end up with toothpicks like that, right? Like whenever I went through that phase where I was trying to lose the muscle, I primarily lost the majority of it from my legs. Okay, my body does not like to keep muscle on my legs. And I am like the team tiny calves, team captain, right? I got little ass calves because I got the high calves with the long tendon. I got 2 bone spurs in my right ankle from me breaking that shit 3 times from sports and shit. So I need to actually have surgery to have it removed. So I can't really train my calves as hard and often as I would like to because of those bone spurs. Also another reason why I got tiny ass calves, right? But I'm even focusing more on trying to actually build these little dudes up too during this process too. As I'm trying to stack on a little more, getting a little more beef on my body, right? But anyways, that's how you gain muscle, folks. Get ripped first, spend life growing, right? You ain't got fucking abs, okay? You're fat. Lose fat first, then you can spend the rest of your life just growing, right? Growing muscle is, it's very simple to understand, but it's a slow, painful process, right? Like if you're on point with your shit, pound a month, right? Unless you're coming straight off the streets, right? Or you haven't been training hard, right? When you start to train hard and eat right, you'll gain a lot right out of the gate initially. And then, but once you're more advanced, you're only going to gain like a pound a month of actual muscle, right? When you're an advanced lifter, right? So I'm probably going to put on a lot really fast, which I already have. I can actually feel it because I was lacking in my protein intake, right? So that's the secrets, folks. So do if you want to gain muscle. Let's